Fairhope here at Crafty Hope, and it's week 2 of Seek, Gather, Create. Now that's a challenge that takes place on Instagram, but I like to kind of show my process for it. It's really fun to participate in. So it is a mixed media scavenger hunt challenge that takes place twice a year. It is a 4-week challenge each of those times, and we're given 4 prompts. So the challenge comes from 3 artists, Tina Hoyce, Lisa Goddard, and Laura D. Dennison. And then this season of it, we've also got guest artists each week. And this week it's Anne at AKSB Architect. I will have all of those links down in the description box below so you can find out more information about Together Create. Let's get to the meat of it. The 4 prompts this week have indeed challenged me. I have been, they were announced yesterday, and I have been fretting over them. And finally I was like, just go look and see what you can find. Do the seek and gathering, and then we can figure out what we're going to create. So the 4 prompts are tape, weave or woven, burnt orange, and beads or beading. So for tape, my initial thought was washi tape. Comes in all different kinds of lengths and rolls and styles and colors and is easy. But masking tape I might throw in. But then I had the idea to maybe use I really wanted to grab an old cassette tape, cassette tape from back in the 80s. I used to listen to. I can't find my cassettes anywhere. I've looked, which makes me go, oh my gosh, I've got to clean my house. I've got to purge some stuff because I can't even find stuff I don't need anymore. So, but then I thought measuring tape, and as I was digging through some stuff, I remembered I have this rusty measuring tape that I took apart one I picked up at an estate sale. So this could be fun to bring into it somehow. So I'm thinking on that. For weave or woven, I'm so thrown by that. So what I ended up pulling out is some different altered fabrics that have a visible weave in them, so you can see the weaving. These 2 are the same thing. One is, I think, an iron rust dye, and the other one is a traditional rust dye. And then this is a flour sack towel from Dollar Tree, which also has kind of an open weave. So that's weave. I also had the thought that I've got, if I can find it here on my desk, I've got this thread here that is for hair weaves. So that could work also. So there's weave or woven. Color burnt orange has really given me fits. I've looked everywhere in my craft room for anything labeled burnt orange. I just can't find anything that actually has the color burnt orange written on it. So when I looked at the color online, I was like, rust. It's obviously, rust is burnt orange. So this, I would consider burnt orange. So I also grabbed some Rusty Hinge Distress Spray Stain, some Kodachrome Nickel Azo Gold. I think you can see it's got kind of that rusty burnt orange color. And then I've got a Neo Color 2. I think this color is Saffron, and it's got kind of that burnt orangey color. So there's my burnt orange. And then for beads or beading, okay, y'all, that is probably the hardest thing for me because I'm a jewelry artist. I was a jewelry artist. I've been for a long time. So I have an entire cabinet and piles and stashes and beads everywhere. So that's really hard for me. What I ended up pulling out is this. I picked this up at Five Below a few weeks ago. I've yet to open it. So I thought, perfect chance to open it, to do something with it. So let's go ahead and open it because I'm really bothered by this on the front of it. I'm having a hard time taking pictures to see all of the colors in here. So let's get it open, and we can see it a little bit more, I think. Oh, can I get it open? Oh, all right, let's see. There we go. Oh, no, this is on the front label. All right, well, that sticker is going to have to come off. I don't like it. I thought it was on the plastic. It is not. Let's see. Can we get it off? Oh, please, oh, please. Oh, no, it's already tearing. Okay, well, I'm going to work at getting this off. And just know that's what I've sought and gathered so far for this. But at any point, I might bring something else in. If I decide these seed beads don't work, maybe I'll maybe I'll find something else. But here, let's take a look at these. So these are little containers. Those are like metallics. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I definitely love the colors like in this area. Those are my colors like here. All right. I have talked long enough. Let's get to it. I have been moving things around on my desk up here, and I remembered that I had this little piece of the same measuring tape that I've pulled out that I was going to make into some jewelry, and I thought, oh, well, what if I make a little piece of jewelry? Because I'm really floundering here with these materials. So, yes, I think that's what I'm going to do. I have this Susan Lennart Casimir Art Mechanic bezel. I have other bezels, but this one was just nice big size one. It has loops on either side. I like that because that means I can hang some kind of dangle from the bottom and then maybe do a necklace up. And so I may or may not use those seed beads. I may end up using something else, but I thought I would just get started. Here's a piece of last week's Seek, Gather, Create. Actually, this might work too. This is some of the scrapbook paper that was kind of too thick for anything, and I think we're gonna get started with it and cut it down to size. And I've got a reel that shows the super quick trick that's for a bezel, especially something that's got like a raised surface on it. If you just put like a distress ink or something like that on the rim of it. And this is really just to make a template. So since this is thick enough, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make my template this way. So I'm stamping it onto here, and it gives me a shape of that. So I'm going to use, well, I just need really a wet paper towel or a baby wipe or something like that to get the color off the bezel. Yeah. Okay. We're going to proceed from here with the voiceover. This necklace kept giving me fits, so I've cut out a lot of the struggle bus of it, but know that it didn't come together as quick as this video makes it seem, and I'll mention those parts. So for one thing, once I made this little template and cut it out, y'all, I am awful sometimes at cutting things out. It didn't quite fit in, so I had to keep cutting it down till I had one that fit inside my bezel. And yeah, so then I just traced it and cut it out, and yeah, I could get it to fit. And know that, if you cut it a little too large, you can force that paper into a bezel, and then whatever is coming up on the sides, of course, will be bent, and you can cut off that excess. So here's in the end, this bit of paper is not going to be seen. It was just something so I didn't have that raw brass in the background, or what I thought was going to be the raw brass in the background. It's not going to be seen at all. And I originally thought also that I might resin this, and so what I'm going to do, I'm going to ink the edges of this with some walnut stain distress ink, and then use Mod Podge to seal all of it, basically. Because if you use resin on paper, it tends to go transparent, and I kind of didn't. I was just being like safe about this. So I'm using matte Mod Podge, and I'm going to cover the entire back of this so it will be sealed when I stick it down, as along with all of the edges. And y'all, yeah, I really should have just done the edges and let it dry. And it doesn't matter. I'm not going to resin it, but I wanted y'all to know this step, that if you don't want your paper to go transparent, seal it. Elmer's school glue or Mod Podge or whatever will work fine. Just some kind of sealant. So I then put some more of the Mod Podge in the base of my bezel. Made sure, that was still inked really nice. I think some of that had stuck to my underpaper. And then I'm going to seal the top of it as well. And then I think I left it to dry. So I didn't heat up the bezel or let any of that bubble up or anything. So that is left to dry, and then I'm coming back and I'm going to layer over the top of it with my open weave fabric. Now I decided on this one, and before I misspoke, I said that it was an iron dye. It's not. It is a rust dye, but done with tea. So it's black tea is added to my rusty things to give that gray color. So I'm sorry I misspoke earlier. So I'm going to put this little bit, I'm making sure all the little edges are frayed a little bit, and then use some Beacon 3-in-1 to stick it down in there. So as you saw, I used my little template that I had cut to kind of make sure I had a good enough size. And once I put this bit of open weave altered fabric in there, that background is not even going to be seen. So I shouldn't have even been super fussy about it. But, you know, I didn't know what direction I was going to go. So that's going to go in there. I'm just kind of, and I didn't put much of that beacon in there, just enough to seal it down, to make sure that was all very secure. And again, I left it to dry. From there, I grabbed that little piece of, and it's kind of fortunate that this was a measuring tape, because I could just look at the ticks on the measuring tape to figure out how long I wanted to cut this to fit in there. I am using some 10 snips. These are my favorite 10 snips. Well, some of my favorite 10 snips. And so I used those to cut my 10 down. And because I'm placing it inside, if I was using it loose, I would have filed the edges so there wouldn't be any sharp edges. But because it's going to be put inside that bezel, I'm not as concerned about it. And then I got that piece of lace that's been rust dyed for my burnt orange and cut just one of the little circles off and layered it up. So from there, I really just need to add bead to this. So I pulled out, this isn't exactly, maybe, is this the color I'm going to use? It is. It's like a brassy color that matches the color of the bezel, and decided that a single bead inside the hole of that rusty lace would kind of be perfect. And I'm looking at it, trying to decide if I wanted to add beads in some other way. And I am, eventually. So for now, I was like, let's go ahead and just start sticking this stuff together. And yeah, and I had loose beads. Those little containers are neat, but when you open them, I definitely recommend doing it on a bead mat, which I'll be pulling in here in just a minute, so they don't go rolling everywhere. So again, I'm using the Beacon 3-in-1, just putting it on that lace where it's not going to be seen, like not behind any of the holes, and then sticking it in my bezel. For the metal piece though, for that measuring tape, I'm going to use my E6000 because it's metal and it's going on that fabric, and I wanted something that was definitely going to be a bit sturdy. My E6000 is like crazy clogged up. I'm trying to get to the end of it so I don't waste it, but it is like I can't even get the cap on all the way because it's so gunked up. And of course, I'm getting it on my fingers and there, and I'm gonna put it down. And y'all, this looks to me like a little bit of like a sunrise, or I don't know, it's super neat. It doesn't have to be anything specific. I just like the assemblage elements within the necklace. So I'm going to use a toothpick also with the E6000 to put just a dot of it in that center so I can stick the bead in it. And I think I've got tweezers out there so I can try to get that bead in the, because I didn't want the whole of the bead showing. I wanted the bead to be sitting on its side so that, you got more of that color. And it kind of goes with the dots that are on the outside of the bezel. So to add another bead to this, I pulled out, these are some handmade ceramic beads from Gaia Handmade. I don't know if I say her name right. It's Gaea, and I will link her below in the description box. And I had this one that was kind of a neutral color. And yeah, I'm going to use it. Now, I did want to add a tassel hanging from it, and this was one of the sections I cut out. I made this beaded tassel with some of this matching beads, and y'all, it was a hot mess. And I was like,
nope. So you see, I've cut it apart, and instead I'm creating a bead dangle that includes one of those seed beads, a bone bead, a couple of bead caps, and then that ceramic bead. So I tried to use another, like a brass bead there, but I wasn't digging the size of it, so I'm just going to pull it out and instead use a bead cap there that matches the one I'm putting on top. And I'm using the bead caps because ceramic beads, handmade beads like this tend to have very open holes, even glass beads, and so a lot of times you want to cover those up so that it makes like your wire wrapping easier. So I've created this bead dangle that kind of matches this. It's quirky and fun. I don't know, it just feels right with this. So I'm doing a wrapped loop above this, which, yeah, if you want to know, I will put a link in the upper right, and down below I have a tutorial on making wrapped loops. But you just go around some round nose pliers. Well, you bend your wire, go around your round nose pliers, and then twist the end of your head pin, or it could be an eye pin, around the stem that's on there, and then trim off the excess. So you can see I'm fiddling with it a little because I wanted a nice tight wrap on there. You can see I'm doing everything I can to get a tight wrap so that the beads don't move around too much on that head pin. And then I'm going to trim the excess off, putting my finger over that tail that's going to come off so it doesn't go flying, and then tuck anything else that's there. From there, I did have another bit of a struggle. So I cleaned everything up, and I decided I wanted to put some recycled sari silk on there. So I ended up cutting down a piece. You can see this recycled sari silk is made in like sections that are tied or sewn together. Well, this first section that I cut off ends up being super brittle, and y'all ended up just like walking away from it, and the next morning deciding to try it again with another section, and it worked out so much better. So I'm putting, because of the orientation of the loop in the top of this bezel, I am adding a large jump ring to it. And you can see the light change. It's the next morning. And I've got the other section of the silk through that. And I'm going to create little connectors. So that's going to come up. And I've got some 24 gauge antiqued brass wire. I antique this wire myself. I have a video on that as well. I'll link. And I've kind of zoomed this in so you can see. So I've made this loop, and I've got a tail, and I'm going to wrap my wire around that little bend section there, so that the jump ring that's there is in there. So I'm doing as tight as I can. I wrapped the tail first, got it around, and then did one wrap around. And I'm going to add a couple more of those seed beads. I added 2 there. I'm going to do another wrap up, making sure everything's staying connected and is nice and tight, and then another bead or 2 on there, and then wrap it around, I'm just trying to secure everything, making it nice and tight. The other piece of silk, when I was doing this, just fell apart. Like, as I was doing it, it frayed to pieces. It was so delicate. So yeah, I got super frustrated, had to walk away. So I trim off the excess and then tuck that down. I'm testing it to make sure it's nice and stable, because if it isn't, I gotta start over again. So I'm kind of deciding here how long I want that, and I will cut it and repeat the process on this other side of like putting my jump ring on there, bending the silk over, and then wrapping it. From there, I picked out some matching brass chain, and y'all, I'm measuring it. Y'all can't see that. I'm measuring it on my neck, like how long the silk part is on my neck where I want it to hang, and then how long I need that other chain to be. So from there, I'm using pliers. This is a chain that's basically like a bunch of jump rings. So I'm twisting open the chain, and that one got out of shape. So it goes away. So to measure the middle of this, so I can cut this in 2, I get either end of it on a piece of wire and hang it, and then separate this one had a jump ring in the middle, so I'm going to open that jump ring. I really could have just cut it with my wire cutters, But I don't know. I was just like, get these two pieces apart. And then I'm going to again open making sure everything is straight before I put my chain on. So I'm going to again open the links of the chain and slip it on the jump rings that are on here. This is, it's kind of a repetitive process. And I'm explaining all this because if you've not done jewelry making before, maybe some of this seems a little foreign. So, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Twist open, and with jump rings or chain, always twist them open, because if you don't twist, if you just pull, you can distort your jump ring and weaken it. So twist. Again, I have a tutorial on that as well. It's one of the basic things to learn when you do jewelry making. So from there, I did hold it up against me to make sure everything was the right length, and then grabbed a lobster clasp and a larger jump ring. Trying to find one. I've got this bag that's got a bunch of different sizes. Pulled that out, and again, I'm gonna open one side of the chain to slip my lobster clasp on. I could have gotten another jump ring and done this, but since these are split rings, I can open them and just slip it on. And then I will attach the jump ring to the other side, twist it open, put it on the chain, close it, and be done. Y'all, this was a bit of a trial. So many ups and downs with it. But it was good to have made a piece of jewelry and have it. I am hoping to have this in my Etsy shop. So if you are interested in purchasing this necklace, let me know. If you don't see it, I'll put it in the description box below when I get it listed. But if it's not there, let me know. All right, guys, if you have any questions about this or Seek Gather Crate, just let me know. And I appreciate you coming by and watching. I'll see you later. Bye.